Hey dudes, welcome back to the mothership. Today we're going to do some work on Tony's Lowrider S. If you have one of these bikes, you know one of the major complaints is if you're driving forward, looking straight ahead, it makes it really difficult for you to see your speedometer and your RPMs. You basically have to completely look down. Tony's got risers on his also, so if you're sitting up here, you really have to look down to see what's going on, and that kind of isn't exactly the safest thing. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do a relocation. We're going to put his gauges up above his bars and do some work to clean everything up on the tank. So let's roll the intro and I'll show you what we're working with. So this is what we've assembled for this job. As you can see, we've got stuff from a bunch of different companies because if you're doing this kind of relocation, you're not going to get everything from one manufacturer. So we have from Speed Kings, the actual housing we're going to use for the relocation. We have some covers, timing covers that we're going to replace on the tank itself. We've got some gaskets directly from Harley. Cables, we're using Guerrilla Cables here. And then these pieces here are made by 31 State. I'll put all these pieces below in the description so you can follow along, and if you want to use the same kind of setup, I'll show you what you need to buy. Okay, prep for this job. It's pretty simple. Get all the crap off here. So if you have a fairing, if you have a bag, take all that off. We're going to take these two screws out. We don't need to take the bottom ones. And then we're going to take the seat off so we can get access to underneath the tank. We're just going to take these off right here. So for taking the pieces off the tank, we use the 5/32 Allen here, and then we're using a 3/16 on these two screws. So we're going to take out the screw here and then these two screws to get behind where we need to for the dash. On the underside of your bikini here, there's two plugs. One goes in the RPM, one goes in the Speedo. Just unplug them, and then there's a little clasp in there that we're gonna have to get out to break this wire free.
All right guys, so next step, what we're gonna do is we're gonna trace these cables back down into the actual frame where they hide everything. We're gonna use that Guerrilla cable that I bought for the kit, plug it in, plug in the tack, turn the bike on, make sure that everything's working before we completely strip the bike and keep going. So this is a good point to check those cables you bought.
And as a side note, since you have the bikini off, you can do a little cleaning here too. So we just learned something here. We probably didn't have to take the tank up like this. Basically, there's a rubber gasket right here, very at the front of your tank, where your gauges go into the underside of your tank. Basically, if you can get your finger in there and push out this gasket, the plug is right there as well. So that'll make this job a lot easier.
Now that we've checked the cable, guys, we're gonna actually go ahead and run it. You notice that there's two big ends here and one tiny end here. So we're obviously gonna run the tiny end from the top down before we plug it in and get everything situated, because if you look, like Ben mentioned earlier, I have a lot of wires and cables coming through my handlebars, and had we done it the opposite way, we would have been shit out of luck and had to redo everything. So just be mindful of that and run the cable before you actually do anything else.
Next step is we're going to strip the gauges out of the bikini. I keep calling it that. I don't actually know if that's the name, but it looks like a bikini. These are 3/32, I believe. The smallest Allen key you're ever gonna find. There's basically just 4 tiny little screws on the backside here.
And this one's tight. I can't get it.
And Tony's having trouble already.
I don't want to break this.
We took the gauges out, as you can see. These are the plates that Anthony bought to cover that up. These are from 31 State. What we're gonna do now is we're going to attach these using that plastic bracket we took out. Then these go on top. It's pretty simple. Anthony actually just pointed out that, the dyno jet that I use for my tuning, you could actually mount it here if you wanted to keep it on your bike. Obviously he didn't use that, but that is an option. Basically you can do all kinds of stuff with these holes, other gauges, etc.
Yeah, the dyno jet that Ben's talking about actually mounts from the bottom up, so it sits flush in the circle and has a nice circular gauge, so you see the screen, you still have access to the touch screen and all that, and it gets sealed off. It's pretty sweet. All right.
This kit makes it really simple now. We're just going to put these timing covers and cover up the holes that we took the gauges out of. Now's the part where we actually are going to take the screws off, the top screws on your bracket here. This is probably the only thing that I'm concerned about as far as torque specs, so we're going to make sure when we put these back on, we put them at the right recommended level. Okay, we just looked up in the manual. 12 to 16 foot-pounds is what the handlebar flange nuts are going to be. So we just had a fun conversation here. Anthony wanted to put his speedometer on the left side, which I kept telling him is not the way cars and everything looks. So I convinced him. We're doing RPMs on the left, Speedo on the right.
Hey, but guys, guess what? It doesn't matter. It's whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
I'm just caving because Ben's a wiener.
We're going to do these one at a time. We're going to get them sitting in there. On the other side of this bracket is a little spot right here where we're going to put a gasket that came off of a, I believe, 95 Sportster. So you had to special order these from Harley.
And they're completely sold out till July. I had to order it from Germany.
So basically this will fit on the back side of this housing, and then we're going to put a clamp on the back, or a plate, and screw it into there. But we got to make sure that we have these lined up the way we want them before we start to tighten everything down. Well, that's the meat and potatoes of the job, guys. We've got this tightened down here how we want. We're gonna get the bike set up straight to make sure it's as level as we want it to be. The next step is just get the cables, put back in there and nice and happy. That's kind of just a pain job, but you'll know what you're doing when you're doing it. It's basically just get everything back the way it was. Then we'll put the seat back on, make sure these are level, and we'll see how it looks.
The RPM's off though.
That's fine.
It needs to twist.
We've got everything mounted up. Anthony's sitting on his bike. We're just kind of looking at where the gauges are. I think we need to turn the RPMs a little bit to the left, but in general, it fits pretty good. Let's throw the fairing on. Let's see how everything looks together, and we'll get Anthony's opinion. And maybe he can tell us why he did this.
So that's it. We just finished, guys. Got the bike reassembled, got the tank, everything ready to go. Just wanted to give you a little insight of why I did this project. As everybody knows, the Lowrider S has all the gauges mounted on the gas tank. So when I'm riding, I literally had to because with your chin on your helmet, you had to look down to see your speed and everything. And everyone says, "Oh, who cares about speed? You're just riding." But that's not reality. Everyone looks at their speed. Everyone needs to know how fast they're going. And so having it right below my line of sight is perfect. I think for safety, RPMs, just seeing everything, it's just going to be a much better ride.